Hello and happy new year. Welcome to the first episode of Queens Glean this year. You know Queens Glean, we are the after conversation to Kings Speak. So today we talk 2020 lessons and blessings. Okay, how did 2020 shape the way you show up in purpose, perspective, and performance? Let's talk about it. Yes, what's going on? And welcome to Queens Glean. Like I said, we're talking about how 2020 shaped your purpose, your performance, your perspective. And we're going to get the queens on panel and talk about all this because this is the after conversation to Kings Speak. Kings Speak was amazing. If you missed it, you'll want to go back to my YouTube channel and watch because Jamal, Nate, and Shaun had some amazing things to say about their perspective, performance, and purpose. So let's dive into this. And we want to make sure that you guys stick around to the end because we have trending on social and a little tea to talk about as well as all of the good things. So let me get my girls in here. I'm so excited. It's been a while. Yes, my girl, Miss Surrender Session. She's always got a word and an amazing perspective. Let's bring Keandra to the stage. What up, girl?
Happy New Year!
Yes. Happy New Year. So glad to have you back. I miss you.
I miss you. I miss you, friend.
Yes. Queens Glean in the building. Well, you know, we are a panel of today 3 because Queen Cookie's got the baby every other Thursday. But we got Key Renee. She's on set. She keeps it popping. I hope you're following her on Instagram because she's always interviewing something good with somebody. So let's bring Key Renee to the stage.
Hi, guys. Let me put this over.
Yes. All right, y'all. I'm excited to dive into this. It's been a while. 2021. Here we are. How's it treating you so far?
Like 2020. I mean, I was telling and sharing with a couple of friends, like, I don't really feel like the refreshed and jazzy and extra like energized version of me yet. Like that still has yet to emerge. Like 2020 has been just carried over. You know, there was a lot of heavy stuff just even in my own professional work that I do. It's pretty heavy too. So a lot of that has carried over into, this new year. And, clearly we got stuff popping as of yesterday, just in the world. So I'm being very gentle with myself.
Good. Glad to hear it. You should be gentle with yourself. How you doing over there, Key Renee? How's 2021 treating you so far? You've been busy already?
Yeah, I mean, it's chill. I never understand the whole notion of one day changing anything. I feel like it's just like another day.
You know what? I'm not mad at that. I actually had that thought earlier. I was like, all right, girl, I used to be really heavy into it. Like tomorrow, it's going to be new. And yeah, I've kind of chilled on that a little bit. So I feel you.
Yeah, I'd be like, I don't understand this whole new year, new me. Like what in this hour made a difference from yesterday when it turned into a new day for you?
I mean, and don't get it twisted. Every day we have an opportunity to start new, think new, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is yesterday was yesterday, tomorrow's tomorrow, and today is today. Regardless of the date. So I'm not mad at it. I'm enjoying myself. I'm just now finding my rhythm. I actually do feel really good. I do feel a shift energetically, maybe not necessarily because it's 2021, but I've been working my booty off on being a good, balanced, and healthy, peaceful person. So that's what I'm feeling.
Amen.
Okay. So you know how we do. We always start the show with talking about the kings. So we had our first king panel where there was 3 gentlemen that joined us, Nate, Shaun, and Jamal. So what did you just think about the kings that we had on our show, just in general, and what they had to say about some stuff?
It's cool because it's like they're almost like resident kings, with the
Yeah.
exception of I think his name was Jay, but like, Sean and Nate, I know Sean has definitely just been supportive, and you've hosted him and done interviews, and he always provides, great insight. And, Nate the same, with his interviews that he's done in the past. And so it was a great welcome to be able to see them, really just share their lessons and the things that they were able to gain or even learn, in that 2020 season. And even just hearing from Jay, seeing one of his clips, I think that was, they shared some really good stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
I feel like having four, like, or it was three, like strong men, like their energy meshed well together. But I think like the one like token that was like a token moment was when Sean was what he said, like, there's someone out there right now waiting for you to be who you are. And I think like that's something that like is like should be like the what would the thing be called? Like your tagline of 2021. Like there's someone out there right now, an audience waiting for you to be who you are. Like, and I don't know if those were the exact words and I'm paraphrasing from memory, but it was like something along those lines, like,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
absolutely. That
mm-hmm.
actually rang true to me, and I enjoyed that so much. And we're actually going to talk about it in the show. So, but before we jump into that clip, which was so good, I mean, I learned a lot. I felt hype after it, so I'm happy to dive into this. So, this was all about how 2020 shaped your purpose, shifted your perspective, and changed your performance. I know 2020 was a lot for a lot of people, and anytime you go through things and the environment around you changes and shifts, we all have an opportunity to make adjustments within, and that's what this was really about. So the first clip and the first person we're going to hear from is Nate, and I have a clip from him, and it's all about being all who God designed you to be and doing it in confidence. So let's see what Nate had to say in the last episode of King Speak, and then we'll talk about it.
That's one thing that God has been pulling me through in 2020. God has been saying, look, dude, I have given you the knowledge. I've given you the resources. I've given you the skills. You put the work in, but you still assume that this individual knows more than you. You still assume that they're better than you at this position. You still assume that. Nobody believes that but you and your own self. And I had to bring myself through that because I know my greatness. I know how much work I put in. But there's times where I put other people on pedestals, not because I think that they're better than me. It's more so out of a respect.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were talking about like humility and the difference between being humble and being scared, basically. So, what do you guys think about the fear that we get in our mindsets that tell us that we're not good enough, somebody else is better, whoever has the bigger platform, this and that, and how that's a hindrance to us moving forward in what it is that God actually designed us to do?
It's weird. I actually like was, and this doesn't have, it's like not career wise, but it's more so like at the top of the year, I like started having daily meetings every morning with a financial advisor. And he was like to me, because I wanted to get this new car. And he's like, girl, you can't afford a new car right now. Like, and I was like, what you mean I can't afford a car? Like, I got the down payment. What you talking about? He's like, no, you have it, but your credit is trash. And we need to fix your credit so you don't have to give them all this money and your payment won't be so high. Like, you cannot afford a car. Like, we need to wait. And I was like, wait and do what? Like, I was like, Uber everywhere? No, I'm getting my car this week. And, I said when I was driving, in a rental, and I was just like, you know what? Humble yourself. You're not, he's not saying that you like can't afford a car. And I was like, you know what? Dang, like that's something that I myself need to do more. And just in general, if people would just humble themselves a little bit so that they can get to the blessing. Because it was like the fact that in my own head, I'm like, no, who do you think you are to tell me that I cannot afford a car? When the thing is, no, this is an expert in finance who's saying it's not that you can't afford a car, but you just don't need to go do it this way because of this way you cannot afford it in the long run. But if you just wait and listen to what I'm saying, you're going to get the car that you want and it's going to be in a way better situation and you're going to save money. And I'm just like, no, because I need to get around town. And who are you to tell me? But like, it is like a thing of, and I was literally in the car earlier, like, Kira, humble yourself. Like, you'll be all right. Like you cannot have a car for 30 days. But you know, it's like, yeah, and so like that is like true, like humble yourself a little bit, and if you want to get to your next level or whatever.
Right. And I like that because it's like humble yourself, but you still hold the confidence knowing you're going to get that car. It's
Yeah.
not about that you can't have it or you're not worthy of the car or it's too much. It's that now there's a strategy in place that allows you to straddle the fence. I'll be humble and take the advice of somebody who I hired to bring into my life with their expertise. But on the other side, I think it's bomb that you're like, I'm getting my car. Like,
Oh yeah.
that's a healthy balance, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think,
No,
Keandra?
absolutely. And I could like just using a part of your example and also talking about what Nate said, I totally understood it. You know, there's this thing where we often, especially just entrepreneurs or people who are, you know, putting their voice out there, or just doing things that are a bit more public, we sometimes can think that because someone else has been doing something longer than us, or basically we put people on a pedestal, we'll elevate them, and basically it unconsciously or subconsciously will minimize our own gift. And so there is definitely a respect, you know, for that person that has more expertise, that knows and who's been doing it a little bit longer. You know, there's always something that we can learn and glean and respect them. But we have to be careful and balance when we're diminishing our own gift and diminishing the thing that it is that we have, and diminishing even the way that we are meant to do it. You know what I mean? Because we are going to bring a different sauce, a different flavor than, you know, the very person who we're looking up to, if they're within our same industry or the same, you know what I'm saying? Like, realm, or whatever it is that we're doing. And, you know, just speaking to the same thing that, you know, Shaun mentioned at one point, is like, there is still someone who's waiting for us to be who it is that we are, you know? And so we're not going to do it the exact same way. And thank God. And we are already equipped. Like, it's what I like to call the already anointing. What, you know, what Nate spoke about is God has already equipped us and given us everything that we need to be, you know, the exceptional, magnetic, spectacular people that we already are. And so to not be afraid of that, to not shrink, and to not think that someone else is more I don't know, worthy, or, you know, that we're not ready enough, you know what I'm saying, to actually put ourselves out there and to do what it is that we know we need to do. So
Yeah.
I thought that that was great that he shared that, and reminded himself of that, because it was a good reminder for me too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. It was a good reminder for me as well because I do that often. But what I find is the more time that goes by, the bolder I get because it's like, hold up now. I'm not a newbie in the game anymore. I'm not, you know, there's some stuff that I'm not just feeling my way through the dark on or trying to figure out. And it is about having the confidence because it is so easy to look at somebody with X amount of followers or who you deem to be further along than you in opportunities. And like you said, just immediately have that, oh, that thought shouldn't come with the subconscious thought that says you're not enough, what you have is not enough, what's in you is not enough. When in all actuality, it's plenty. And we spend too much time downplaying, you know, what we do have. And kind of like what Key Renee says, I'm cool with staying 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 foot in humble and the other in confident, because it's like, yeah, I'm humble. I'm the first one to tell you, like, I might be teaching something and sharing something, but I'm letting you know the only reason we're having this conversation is because I'm growing with you. I can also take advice from somebody older than me or further along than me. But even in that, taking the advice with the eat the meat, spit out the bones perspective, because still what the confidence I have in what God put in me and what he told me to do really needs to preside over everything. And you know, I myself am learning to walk in that. I commend Nate because, you know, he said this on the show, but he's 26. So for him to get the mindset, you know, now and realize is really special because I think when I was 26, so I came out the gate super bold. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was like, oh, I'm doing it. And there was value to that. There was value in my ego. There was value in the sureness I felt. Now, I did allow life to kind of chip away at some things just because you're like, you get beat up a little bit. Now I'm rolling around a little dented, like, oh my God. But, you know, at the end of the day, even though I was like this and went like this, I'm feeling back up here again where it's like,
But that's success. This is what success
correct.
looks like. Like, you feel me? Like, there's no such thing as like success. Like, it's literally like stop. Like, it's literally,
Yeah.
it's not a linear situation. So it's like, never, anyone even listening, never ever beat yourself down on the way your success looks, because this is actually success. This is actually success. Like, all these things are success, because even if you do something and you fail at it, you didn't actually fail, you won, because now next time around when you do that thing, you have data, you have results. Like, you know, to don't do it that way this time, you're going to do it this other way because you tried it that way already and it didn't work. So it's like, all right, bet, like, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And thanks for saying that, because when you're in the middle of a storm or what you perceive as a failure, it's really hard to see that. Especially at a certain age. I'm noticing, like, when I look on Twitter and everything, y'all know I'm a Twitter person. When I look on Twitter, I see so many people in their early 20s just beating themselves up because they don't feel like they're anywhere. And I'm like, how do we learn to enjoy the present moment, like, for real? Because we even hear these things, oh, success is up and down, this is not a failure, but sometimes when you're in the midst of it, it's hard to see. So I just commend anyone who can still stand in it and get through it. And then when you are getting through it, whatever you go through, like you said, Key Renee, like, it's not a fail. You learned something, you got data. I am learning more and more every day not to regret anything I went through. There was a big period of time where I was like, I wish I would have did it different. I should have did it. Now I'm like, dang, I am bad, okay? Because I done been through and know a lot of stuff. And I feel like God has me in a position to share that with others so maybe they can navigate that differently. I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We got to be here for our failures.
Yeah,
Got to be
seriously.
here for them.
Even when it doesn't feel good. So before we jump into the next clip, what is one thing that y'all personally are taking from 2020? What was your biggest value? What did you learn most? What felt the best to you? What did you overcome anything? Did you learn to maneuver something differently? On a personal standpoint, what did y'all gain from 2020?
Personally, for me, it was the slowing down. Like, as much as I'm someone who, well-being, wellness, self-care, those have been things that I've been studying and teaching for years now, but a different level of it, I was actually really able to experience. And it was so necessary, like it definitely sucked not being able to see all of my groups of friends and not be able to do all the social things. But in those down moments, I remembered there were certain times when I actually felt obligated to be at everything and do everything, because it was like this, I got to live life to the fullest, so there was a certain sense of urgency, which isn't a bad thing. But I think that there were moments when it was out of balance for me, and I was kind of overwhelming myself because I felt this pressure to do and be at everything because I didn't want to really miss out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess it was a version of a fear of missing out. And so being forced to actually like slow down and really like embrace the slower pace was like such a blessing for me. Like, my quality of life shot through the roof. I mean, just it was just really, really great. And so that's something that I'm actually carrying into this year, even though there's aspects of it that are forced for some of us, you know what I mean? Like, we're in shutdown cities. So, like, there's still aspects of it where there's no control, but there is a piece that I'm taking with me that, I literally feel the value of like being able to slow down and come into my mornings a lot better than like having to be on the clock and commuting. I mean, like, I could go on and on and on, but like to not be on like this, a certain type of a pace and an adrenaline, that was the biggest blessing for me. So yeah, it was a gift from 2020.
Amen. I love that. That is true. What about you, Key?
I don't know, 2020, like maybe because like I already like didn't never leave my house and I already like work at home anyway, so I didn't feel like it really changed too much for me because I already stay in the house and do nothing anyway. But I just feel like I know that there was like a lot of friends that I had who probably are not my friends no more because they lived in fear the whole 2020, and I just feel like 2020 taught me to still not live in fear. Like I don't know, like I I just seen the difference between what living in fear does to you in a situation like this and what living free does to you in a situation like this. And I think that 2020 taught me that I am a free spirit, like, you know, and the free spirit that I am is a positive thing, at least for myself. I know there's people who don't agree with being a free spirit in a pandemic, but I don't know. I think I got to experience a lot of things. I got to see things that people didn't get to see because I was not afraid to just go. Like I got to be on airplanes when I was the only person on the plane. You know, it's like people didn't get to see that the airports had two people in them at a time at some times. And they didn't get to go to, you know, experience other countries in a pandemic to see how they're operating. It's like I still went and explored that stuff anyway and didn't just let fear like take over me and sit in the crib. So I don't know. I think that's what 2020 is like, just showed me like, I don't know, I'm just a fearless person. And even though it's like, yeah, this is a pandemic, that doesn't mean that I was not being healthy. It does not mean that I was not juiced up on vitamins, taking precautions, but just being strategically smart so that I could still stay free. Like, you know, I don't know. I just feel like this year it the free and the afraid, like, are the fearful and the fearless were like, they lived two different experiences during 2020. And I'm just glad that I lived the experience of the free, of the fearful, like, you know, or not the fearful. Those are the people who are afraid, right? The ones who aren't afraid.
Yes, you look fearless.
The fearless, like, you know, like that's the experience and the lens that I got to experience the pandemic in 2020 through, like a fearless lens instead of a fearful lens. So I'm just glad and blessed that I got to do that.
Yeah. Yes, I love both of those perspectives so much. Like, so well said, so true. And I actually share a little bit of both of those. God, the slowdown. I was running myself ragged before, and I didn't even realize it because that had become life. I mean, from going to work full time, trying to wake up, do this, read, pray, study, gym, cook, groceries, like it was stupid. It was stupid. Right. And I was tired. Okay. So that was the first thing. And then two, Key, I was like you, like, I'm not one to subscribe to fear. I am a free person. And just like you, I think there was a way to do this in a free way where you didn't have to be like, like, I'm not used to getting sick anyway. There were a lot of things. I'm always healthy. I'm always staying good. I drink my water, vitamins, juice, eating, but you know, all of the things. But this was an opportunity to navigate in a different way. For me, I certainly feel like this was the first year I experienced co-creating with the divine. I really put in a special effort this year. I remember the top of the year. So in last December, I went to Tulum, and that was magical. If any of you been to Tulum, it has its own vibe, traveling and being free, living fancy, even if it's just for 5 days, being catered to and having the space was something I hadn't had in a while. So it opened me up, and I needed that in December. So by January, I was like, all right, Lord, I'm ready to trust you on a new level. I'm really trying here, you know, like, what things can I do and introduce in my life where I'm pushing the fear of the unknown aside. I was working a full-time job and I knew I didn't want to be there anymore. It just got weird. It got funny. I was starting to have bad dreams about it, which told me the vibe was off. Like, I was going through it a little bit. So I started working an exit plan. I started listening to Joe Dispenza and learning how to create new neural pathways, meditate. I mean, I got so intentional. And I almost feel like God did Corona for us, like, not for the people that like felt, but I mean, I felt like I was living upside down. Then the world turned upside down, and now I finally feel right side up. I mean, I know some people had a really hard year, but 2017, 18, 19 were hard for me. It was a real pandemic feeling. It was hard, okay? So this was a breath of fresh air. And I feel like really being intentional with my mind, working with God and opening things up, then other things opened up. It just ushered me into the space I wanted to be in. And for a long time, I haven't felt that, where it just feels like, oh my God, like, did you just answer my whole prayer? Like, did this just go my way? And I didn't even need it. Like, so it showed me so much about how to trust, how to walk in the unknown, and how to use what I do have in my power to kind of co-create my situation. So now I'm in that energy where I'm like, all right, I'm going to use those modalities, those specific methods to continue. I needed the boost. I needed the boost. I needed the space, the time off, the quietness, the home, the way even my money was set up, the way I performed last year, how it made this year possible for me. It allowed me to see how if you just trust and walk and move, and even if you don't get it in the moment, it becomes valuable. And to just be present to that. I allowed myself to be tossed around, and now I'm like, I don't know. So I'm grateful is all I got to say. I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
girl.
man, I needed that. I really, really did. I needed
I'm
that
grateful.
space.
I'm grateful with you. Like, I refuse to curse 2020. It was
I'm
definitely
doing it.
rough, in a lot of ways, but I refuse to curse that year because there were so many blessings that came out of it for a lot of people that I know, you know what I mean? And like we have had some rough years together. So,
Girl,
like when things first hit, it was kind of like, oh, I'm gonna be all right because I've already navigated and maneuvered, you know what I'm saying, a season of uncertainty, and I learned who God is during that time. So I'm not tripping off of this, you know what I mean? Like, this, we gonna be all right, and I'm gonna be all right, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there was, of course, other things that, the loss and things to grieve and the anxiety and all that, that was very real.
yeah,
Um, but, it was still a very, very blessed year. And had it not happened, I mean, there's even things in my business that would not be happening right now if it was not for the way that 2020 unfolded. You know what I mean? So it's like, I refuse to curse. Curse.
curse, yeah.
I refuse to curse. 2020, it was a blessing. It really was.
Yeah, and sometimes to get to the good stuff, you gotta ruffle things up. I'm not mad at unearthing things, shaking things up, crumbling a little bit, because you gotta open it up in order to get more out of it. I think 2020 still was the year of clarity. We saw clarity in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
A lot of areas, okay, with our country, our finances, our lifestyles, the value we found in friendships, family. I mean, I could go on and on. So I'm just here for it. I'm glad, and I'm looking forward to see things keep going on the up and up. So we'll jump into this next topic, and this was Shaun, and we kind of touched on this a little bit, so we can just elaborate on it and go past it. But this was something good that he had to say.
I need to speak it from my perspective. Just like Jay, he's a trainer. He needs to speak it from his perspective. Nate needs to speak what he knows from his perspective, because there's thousands of people who are looking for that particular perspective. And if we keep it and don't throw it out there, it's not only selfish on our part, but we are now not using the gift that we have that can help, people. If it helps one person.
He said if it helps one person, that's amazing. So we did touch on this a little bit, but what do you guys think about always remembering that nobody's heard your perspective before and certain information through your particular vessel?
I think it's definitely very true. And it's the thing that I even have to remind myself of, a lot of what we, already shared, of just kind of somehow sometimes we'll elevate other people or put them on a pedestal and kind of think like, oh, this market is oversaturated, or, oh, there's already someone out there that's doing an event similar to the idea that I have. But my story, no one has my story. You know what I mean? No one has been through what I've been through and will see it from my perspective. And, so that is the gift. And that's the thing that is the differentiator. And so reminding ourselves of, even though it's so subtle, it is the biggest shift and the biggest thing that we have. And so being able to own that is what's necessary and what will continue to give us the push, to even build upon, the confidence that's needed to continue to keep going, with whatever it is that we're pursuing. It's that unique thing that we have is it's our story and perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it perfect.
Yeah. And you know what I liked about that too is for me, it was the reminder that even if it helps one person, I do get moments. I actually had a moment a couple of days ago where I'm like, gosh, I feel like I'm doing so much work. I'm filming so much things. I'm doing so much. And I often downplay the numbers, the views, the comments, the response, because, at times I make that the indicator that I'm being impactful. But it was such an opportunity to remind myself, like, no, don't forget about that DM you got yesterday. Don't forget about that text you got yesterday where you helped someone shift their perspective on their perceived negative experience right now. That's it. I'm good. I don't ever want to forget my why I'm doing this. It could be as oversaturated as I want. Even the fact that we're on live is 8:30 here, 6:30 there. We don't know that one person might happen to roam by this and we say something was that, like, let it be the moment. Do what you do because you love doing it, not because you carved out some lane and now you're the only one. That's not what I was in it for. So it was just a reminder to remember that even if you change one life, that's major. Like, we know about the butterfly effect. I don't know the whole thing, but a butterfly flaps its wings and what I'm saying? Everything changes, whatever. Like, I'll take it.
I love it too, because it's, what you were saying, Jaimi, it's the reminder to not be in a scarcity mindset either, because unfortunately, the perception of a market being oversaturated, or, that there's no room for little old me, is basically a scarcity mindset. Like, there is enough out here for all of us, and we don't have to pit each other against one another. Like our show, even though the format is very similar to other shows that exist, our perspective, our stories, our unique, chemistry and everything that we have, it has its own value, and it's different, and it still is offering value in everything that it needs for who it's hitting. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's enough out here for all of us to win, all of us to shine, all of us to get the bag, as what's on Key's shirt.
Oh yeah, top selling shirt of the year. No.
Wait, I want to see. I didn't read it. I can't see it all. Yeah. Oh yeah, I want all the bags: money bags,
all the
bags, invested bags, residual bags, investment bags, grocery. Run the bags.
All the bags.
Is this from your brand?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on
shop
shop
now,
girl.
Q&A.com.
There you go.
But unfortunately, shirts don't come like this no more. All shirts are unisex because I wanted men and women to be able to wear the shirts. But yeah. But no, that, I mean, like, all that stuff is like, so like everything you're just saying is like what it is though. Like,
yeah. And our perspective is different because actually Shaun and Jamal, Jay, they're both trainers, but I know that if they just focus on themselves, again, the vessel that the information is flowing through is one of a kind. So anybody listening, I hope you remember that you're one of a kind. Even none of our fingerprints are even the same. So like, let it be that there's billions of people in the world.
The thing is like when it comes to like people being individual, it's like, even when you're trying to do or create something, there's so many different specific niches based in even one category, just based on either the experiences you've had in your life or whatever. It's like, even though like for myself, yes, I teach about entrepreneurship. Everyone teaches about entrepreneurship, but my lane is different. I'm a first generation entrepreneur. Like, I'm teaching from the chick who can't go to her mom and ask, yo, do you remember, can I share an idea? She don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I can't go to my sister. I can't go to people in my family and be like, yo, I came up with this idea. I think I'm gonna do this. They're gonna be looking at me like, sure. What does that mean? Like, but there's people out there who are the same. So it's like, even if you are first generation entrepreneur too, there's different types of first generation entrepreneurs. There could be first generation entrepreneurs who can go to their people for stuff. And so that there's things that they're navigating that you're not navigating. So it's like, never feel that what you're doing is what someone else is doing, because if you're doing it authentically you, then nobody can be doing it the way that you're doing it, because nobody walked in your shoes but you. Like, so just create
Period.
authentically, and don't try to be like other people. Don't try to replicate what someone else did, because that's when you're going to fail, and that's when you are going to just be somebody else, because you cannot actually replicate anything that another person did. You can attempt and it can look like it, but it will never beat it. And then you'll feel like that imposter syndrome and all the weird stuff comes into play. And then you be wondering why you sad and stuff at the end of the night.
Yep. Very true. Well, shoot, that was well said, and almost takes us to our next point when it comes to imposter syndrome, because we had to talk about love and relationships, and I wanted to know from the guys, did 2020 shift their perspective on that? Because I know y'all are, you're in Clubhouse too, Key, right? Yeah, you slid by my girl. That room.
I was in the car, like trying to stay on Clubhouse. The car would not pick up the audio. Like, I was like, I can't do this. I got to get out.
Girl, let me tell you something. That room that you slid by, me and my girl were in there for 8 hours. Okay?
I believe it.
When I tell you it got lit, my mind was blown. I was like, but it blessed so many people, and the conversation was so rich. Like, I've never experienced anything like that. It was nuts. Like,
this show needs to go on Clubhouse.
You know what, to be honest, I would like to figure out how to duplicate this and hop on another day. I know everybody's time is limited, but maybe every other week.
Clubhouse is crazy.
Girl, so what I brought that up because actually the game had a room, and I heard a bunch of men talking and all this stuff that was going on. And I'm gonna tell you now, I knew at the top of the year, 2020 was gonna have men rethinking love, because now you by yourself. You can't go kissing on everybody. Ain't no clubs to go drown yourself in and distract yourself. No games, no hoes, no, like, you gotta focus. So I know a lot of men, even the men on the panel, who spent a lot of time looking in the mirror, which needed to be done. But
almost
the game,
all of my male friends are not single anymore. Like, they all hopped into serious relationships by the end of 2020.
Look, y'all know you need to be nurtured. You better stop. You don't want to be in the house.
A lot of my male friends, like, they're all now in serious relationships.
What do you think was the motivation behind that? Like, was it like the cuffing season?
No, I think it's literally what she said. Like, all year there were no hoes. There was no access to random chicks. There was literally, you need to either go through your database, and then you start actually thinking about the women in your database, and the one like, oh, maybe this one isn't that bad. Like, let me actually just chill with this one, since, you feel me, I don't want to get the cove. So it's like.
No, it is so true. So it's shifting their perspective. And, even the game he was talking about, now he was more talking about Clubhouse being the catalyst, but I mean, even he isolated himself and feels like, he just started confessing all the bad stuff he's done to women. He started talking about how other women's gonna fall. He's not gonna do it. He is 42 years old and literally just woke up. So between Corona
or
the game,
or he was engaged.
I don't think
I remember he was in a long.
Mother.
I know that he was in a long-term relationship, and they had a reality show, right, on VH1.
Him and his wife. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
The game.
Yeah.
No, the game. Married to the Game.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, I missed that.
She's a school teacher in Inglewood, I believe.
Yep, exactly. And that was, I want to say, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And
look at me, I said, I don't even know. I knew it. Okay.
He had a whole, so he's basically had the journey, the insight. Like, I'm interested to see. Oh, hey, Rashonda.
Hey, girl, from Houston. I'm in your city, girl.
I recognize that picture. Good to see you. All that to say, he definitely has had some up and down moments when it comes to love and in his relationship, and I'm not sure where things are, with
he's trying to get his mind and his heart right. Like, this affected them. So, I'm here for it. Sometimes the lessons got to come a little rough, but as long as they come. So I'm optimistic up in here. So I will take it. So let's go to Jamal and see what he had to say about what he thinks about love and what 2020 did to relationships?
Have a strong definition of what love looks like, right? What 2020 showed all of us is there's a lot of lie going on, right? There's there's not a lot of truth going on. So now you kind of got to decipher what's true and what's not, right? Because everything's up in the air. And I feel like a lot of people were exposed. And I feel like love in 2020 was exposed because now we can't go to all of these clubs. We can't go on all of these trips. We got to stay in the crib and we got to figure each other out, right?
So he has a point because
I mean, I know a couple people who broke up over the quarantine too, even
How about
relationships
that?
of 15, 16 years. They're not together no more. Like after having to actually be with each other every single day and actually like deal with, oh, wait a minute, I actually don't like this situation. I didn't even realize it because we've both been so busy, like, getting money that, damn, now that we sit down, wait a minute, I need to actually release myself from this relationship. And I've actually had like 2 friends where I'd be like, oh no, what happened? I thought you guys were the epiphany of love. But
Lord,
Yeah.
God, I can see that.
It's that year of clarity, like you basically get to see the person that you're with for who they are, like I have the polar opposites. Like I have a couple of friends who actually are in amazing relationships with people that they met at the top of this whole thing, of the pandemic popping off. Like they
yeah, I
met
have that too.
online,
Yeah.
and they are now,
My
living
neighbors.
together. Wow, like moving forward with just the way that things accelerated. Like it seems like they're really on a good path. And then there are some who, there are actually maybe only one couple that I can think of that they're still kind of trying to work through things, but it was very hard for them to be able to like be in each other's company at the same time because they were so used to working different shifts and at different times of the day, and being around each other kind of forced them to get to know each other. And I guess what they learned about one another wasn't really that great, like, so it was a year of clarity to really know, like, if you dating somebody, you're going to know what you're really working with now. So, you either have some decisions to make or, like you'll have an amazing foundation, to kind of keep moving forward in the future, because you basically have to start with the bare minimum, you know what I mean? And not as many distractions as we're used to having when it comes to like dating and meeting someone for the first time.
Yeah. Well, I do have someone who's not like necessarily like the opposite, or like they did meet someone at the beginning of the pandemic who they're still dating, but in their eyes, they're like, we have been technically almost dating a year, but I can't officially say if I'm dating this person until the pandemic is over and I get to see this person in the real world, because in their eyes, this is not the real world. Like this is, yes, we're with each other all the time because we have nowhere else to go. We have nothing else to do. So yes, we did end up building this and I do care about this person, but I still need to see them in the real world. So I think like that's kind of interesting. Like, wait, what? Like, how you feel? Like, I think this is the real world. Like,
Yeah, like there's aspects of the old world that are never returning, and thank God, but
like what? Oh no, what did you want to return? I need it to all return.
I don't want all of it to return in certain ways. Like there were certain structures and certain, like patriarchal paradigms and ways of doing things that I felt like it needed to die and needed to go. Now, of course, restaurants and bowling alleys and stuff like
well,
that.
I will say,
like those types of things.
Sure. I do enjoy that at Whole Foods, they now wrap all of the muffins individually instead of putting them in the case. So I do appreciate that. That can stay because that seems very sanitary. Anyway, you should have been doing that.
Right.
So like things like that, I'm like, all right, that type of stuff can stay. But all the other stuff, I'm like, nah, go back to normal. Like, just.
But there is something to be said about, I guess, that real world. I think what your friend, of course, I'm just assuming there is something to be said about that, because obviously, I mean, I don't really know, but were they being taken around all the family and the friends that they normally would have or may have had opportunity to interact with, in other seasons? Are you seeing if they're being a jerk to, the waiter or the waitress when you go out to eat, or, just some of those things where you're out and socially interacting with other people. There is something that, is a different side that can be a turn on or off,
Yeah.
with the person that you're dating. And so there is something about that I'm sure a lot of couples haven't had to experience yet if they just got started during the pandemic.
No, for sure.
Yeah, y'all said it all so well. You hit all of the points, and that's what I was thinking too. Like, yeah, it's both sides of the coin. It's either you were together and the way you qualified each other and how you were living your life, all of that has fallen apart. And that's what Jay was saying. It's like, now you don't have the distraction of this, that, and the other and the busyness. And you got to sit and look at this. The single people was looking at themselves and the people with people was looking at each other. And it's like, it either worked or it didn't. It either shifted you or, it didn't. And then for people getting together new, I could see that needing to feel their vibe, because I like that. I like going out. I need to see how you cover me, where you walk, how you treat, how you roll. Like, I like that out and aboutness, just to see how we maneuver. The only thing I miss about the old world. So I mean, I done did all the kicking it that you can do, because I was like you, Keandra, like trying to be everywhere all the time because you want to have that moment where it's like, live for the now. One thing, no matter how hectic my life has been, is your girl always had fun. So I'm really missing my brunch. I'm really missing just being in the mix, because that's like literally who I am. So I had to also acknowledge, like, not feeling bad that I'm, feeling some kind of way and adjusting, because I'm super duper social. Like, even my brunch party, my once a month, that was my party time. Like, I don't even get my brunch. Like, so there's a lot of things that shifted, but I'm so glad, like you said, the patriarchal, what I'm talking about, flow of things, and then that force and that hustle and that grind. I'm okay. Again, I'm a fan of let it all crumble and let's build from what makes sense, because I'm sorry, it was too hectic for me. I actually couldn't really keep up anymore. I was struggling to just keep up with what had been. So I don't mind that it's all not back. We can switch some things up. I'm okay with that. But yeah, as far as relationships, Jay was also saying that, they're younger, they're in their 20s, but he was saying that the woman he's dating now, he knows what love looks like. And a lot of what people their age used to think what love looked like can be found too much on Instagram. So now that people ain't booed up, kissing, traveling, and clubbing and all that on Instagram, it's giving them a chance to look like, okay, so who am I really? And what is love really? And how do I make this thing work? And what are we bringing to the table? And his parents are still together. So are his grandparents. So he's seen love to the fullest, but he was sharing that he's dating a girl who expressed that she has a hard time receiving love. And as forthcoming as she was, and he appreciated, he's like, but I'm a giver of love. I can't date her anymore right now. She can't receive love. So he's like literally looking for people who shifted their mindset in 2020 to be able to handle the real thing. Like him and Nate are out here like, who's real? Because this bull is not working. Who's real? I'm looking to boo up. So I thought that was awesome.
I know that's right. I'm proud of him too, and I don't even know him. But I think it's amazing, because just a lot of the superficial things that we relied on, you know what I mean? Like it had to fall away, whether it's because we just didn't have access to it anymore, or rather because it just wasn't as valuable. You know what I mean? So yeah, like now you can actually see, like, you want the real thing. The value of the real thing is so much better than the putting on just to try to impress somebody. Like that does not last.
Amen. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at it at all. I like the perspective shift that men are going through. So I'll take it. Keeps me hopeful. So I love that. Well, this was such a great show. We have a quick special segment, our trending on social. So I just saw this and I try to pick up little things and I found it to be interesting. So let's take a look real quick. Then we'll talk about it and get out of here. All right, let's run this real quick, because your boy keeps us real entertained. So I left my sound on because, long story short, this is just Tyrese. He's getting in a divorce. And this is what he shared that got me the most. He said that I've wrestled with this question: how can we naturally know how to be something we were never raised by? Most of us were raised in broken homes with no examples of what being a husband, wife, or father is. So that's some of the stuff he typed there. What do you guys think about him essentially? I don't want to say blaming, but he's saying that how do men learn how to be fathers and husbands and all this if they never had the example? So now he's going through a divorce, unfortunately, and I'm not in his life. I don't know the ins and outs, but what do you guys think about that statement that he made about his performance in his marriage? I mean, I could tell you what I thought.
I mean, my thing is like, you can't be upset with him if that's how he feels. That's how he feels. It's true to a degree. Like, there are tons of people who grew up in households where there was no example of a husband, a wife, all these things. So you don't really have anything to model it by. So yeah, you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna have to walk a path of unknown and figure it out along the way. So cool, whatever. Now, if you be like, well, he's a grown man, he should know it. So I mean, he should, but that doesn't mean he's going to if he truly, genuinely didn't have that type of example. He's just going off his own path. But he's also a very unique character because it's fucking Tyrese. Or sorry for cursing, but it's Tyrese. Like, you feel me? Like, he got vagina being thrown at him through a quarantine in Clubhouse. Like, you know, it's like,
True.
It's like, so, you know, it's like, can you blame? It's like you can blame, but then it's like, okay, but then it's like, well, if that's going to be his excuse, then that means that, you know, what have you learned from it, or are you going to use it forever in your next relationship? If it doesn't go right, are you going to resort back to that, or are you going to be like, well, in my last relationship, this, and this happened, so therefore I grew, and then now I'm here. But back then I was able to use that excuse, but now I've grown, I've developed, and now I have this, like, you know. So I just think it's like, you can use it, then it's like, after you use it, you can't use it again, you know.
Can't pull that card no more. I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess my thoughts on it were, you know, again, and this is, I mean, I had King speak, for goodness sakes. I understand the fact that a lot of our brothers did not grow up in households where they were able to learn and experience the value of a relationship in a particular way where they knew how to navigate it. On top of that, he's a celebrity, so I know that's different. He's been one since his very early years. So I get how that's different. And so I don't want to crap on him for his situation. Everybody's going through what they're going through at their time, because that's what needs to happen. However, with this resurgence of, how do I say, there are so many men and therapists and opportunities and stuff coming out now. That's what I love about this time, is men are seeing that they need to heal. Like, if you can become a multi-platinum selling R&B artist, I'm going to need you to also do the work to figure out how to do this thing. So I love the fact he can admit. I just don't want him to use it as a crutch or as an excuse, because he has access to too much. We all do, but he has access to too much to use not having an example as an excuse. There has to come a time where, you know, I always use my dad, for example. My dad didn't grow up with his father. My grandma was never home because she had to raise kids. So she had 3 jobs. They didn't have anybody. My dad's dad left a long time ago. I mean, there was all kind of hell that broke loose. But at some point, my dad made a decision, a choice to be a man of stature. And so there has to come a point where you sit down with a therapist, get it all out, because what's happening is, again, I don't know the ins and outs of their relationship, but divorce isn't pretty. I mean, gosh, we're praying Dr. Dre recovers fully from his aneurysm. I'm not saying it came from the divorce, but it's just the people that I know that have gone through divorce, it's hell on their bodies, on their souls, on their hearts. So how do we get to the place where we stop saying and talking so much about what we didn't get and go get it? Because there's so much now available. Even Black male therapists. You can't even say, oh, well, my therapist doesn't understand. Go seek out somebody who's in your lane, who done been through it, because us running through each other's hearts and using that and doing all that, it's only making things worse. So my hope is that not only does he find love again, but he find himself and the healing that he needs. So that way, instead of we don't know how to be husbands because we didn't get this, that, and the other, he can say, even though I didn't get this, that, and the other, I now have the tools to do this. Because as a woman, I can work with that. Talk to me about where your holes are. Let's figure this out and at least get on the same page. So when I see you doing something or something happens or whatever, we can continue to grow and build. Like, but it all starts with you, dude. Like, you know, I just kind of, I feel bad. I don't know. I'm hoping that it just, gets him to want to change something within himself and not use that as an excuse anymore. So.
I feel you, Jaimi. My thoughts are very similar to yours. Like at some point there has to be some accountability. You know what I mean? Like it is a real thing, just unfortunately there's certain things generationally that have been passed down and there's not a lot of models, but at some point it has to stop. You know what I mean? I mean, he's a parent himself. So it's like you can't continue to two girls, right? Does he have a baby too? A younger little toddler pre-toddler? I don't know.
2 girls.
Yeah. I think he also has another child with his now ex-wife. But it's like at some point there has to be a level of accountability, and even an accountability amongst men. Like you need to hold your boy accountable. You know what I'm saying? Like, or being the support for him if you see that he's not necessarily stepping up in the way that he should for his family or even for himself and walking in integrity. Like, I just feel like men in general need to do a better job of that, as opposed to kind of it just being like like just kind of shrugging their shoulders off of, the dude that's not necessarily doing what they should be doing. There needs to actually be somebody pulling their coattail, you know what I mean? And like, cause I feel like with women, there's a certain level of that where we have that within our relationships with one another, but I don't know that men really are doing the same thing, because there is so much of that, falling back on like I ain't never seen how it's done, so I don't know, you know what I mean? And it's like, there's just too many resources out here now, for that to still be an excuse. Yes, it's a reality, and not trying to, again, minimize the effects that it's had. But at some point, we're no longer the victims. We have to take responsibility. And especially when you are now a parent, like you really have to take responsibility. It's your job now.
Like you got your other job. You got to sit down and do the work. That's why I had mentioned the game too. I love that he's 42, but damn it, if you still getting it now, as long as you're getting it, I'll take it. It's so, anyway, I just thought that was cool to bring up and whatnot. But this was a good show. Thank you guys so much for sharing, your personal experiences, what you gained and grew from, and your perspectives. That's always really valuable. So, of course, before we get out of here, let's share with the people anything we have going on, where to find us online, what we got coming up, all of the good stuff, so they can stay rocking with us.
Well, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is right there in the title block at Keandra_D. I think it's the same thing on Facebook if you happen to be on there. And then I also have a Facebook group called the Surrender Society, which is basically for women who are basically purpose-minded, but also want to have a life centered around their well-being. And so if you're looking for like-minded women in a space where you can, be yourself, along with still being purpose-minded and focused, definitely hop in and send an invitation. Would love to have you.
Yes. What you got going on, Key?
Well, I don't got nothing. But you guys can follow me on Instagram. Everything that I have going on is on Instagram. And the link in my bio goes to my website, and then you guys can see what else is happening there. Everything gets updated on the website weekly, so just check in the website. Mm-hmm.
Love it. And y'all know I'm Jaimi Alexander. You can follow me on Instagram, as you can see right here. You can click the link in bio and watch Kings speak. I don't want you guys to miss another show and listen to the men talking to panel. Queens Glean Thursdays, come on back. And you can also find The Power of Posture, which is a program that I wrote to help women kind of get back into that flow with the divine feminine. When we're in alignment with who we are and we let down the baggage and get out of survival mode, we find that flow, ease, femininity, and receiving becomes a lot easier. So check that out. You can get that by clicking the link in bio on my Instagram page, The Power of Posture. And we will see you guys Tuesday for King Speak. Next week, we have an amazing man. His name is Marcus. He is a father. He is a producer, actor, entertainer. And we're going to be talking about men and their feelings, you know, like actual feelings. And he has a lot of powerful things to say. So I don't want you guys to miss it. So see you next Tuesday. And yeah, y'all have a great rest of your Thursday and your weekend.
Bye, you guys.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye, guys.